Yeah, and you're Sam Fisher.
Maybe I'm the douchebag here. Okay, so we're live with another episode of BS Busters, and we're back to business. We're back to our normal schedule. We'll be covering some news stories and etc. etc. But before we go any further, let's have everyone introduce themselves. Go ahead.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all ages to the BS Busters Midweek Podcast. I'm Joe Eli Moonstar, and oh my god, Square Enix.
Yeah, we got a lot of people messing up, and it's only halfway through the week. Kanoshi, go.
This is Kenoshi Abominito. We're here to say, don't be an end vamp. Meaning don't be an energy vampire.
Yeah, that's true.
Who's drinking up all the power?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna tell you a dirty little secret about me. I have a lot of devices in my house that drain a lot of power, but because I have solar panels on my house and I upgraded like 2 years ago, I still produce more power than I use. So I sell that back to the energy grid, and they give me a check for like $27 every month. So I'm still good. I'm good. But for the people who don't do that, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, yeah, turn that shit off. Unplug shit. If you're not using it, turn it off. Turn it off.
And don't be a human energy vampire.
Yeah, don't
people that just
don't drag on your friends. But this is me, Mr. Red Fox, and we're going to get into it. We have quite a few news stories plus some op-ed pieces. So without much ado, let's dive into it. I guess we can start with Squeenix. So Joel, you brought this up, so I'll let you take it. So what did Square Enix do?
Yesterday, if you are doing live streams with a certain Square Enix game, I hope you didn't stream or broadcast your IP recently, because you are likely gonna be dedoxed for it.
I mean, it sucks, but I mean, look, let's keep it. This were people playing the new, relatively new Avengers game, right? That Avengers game that just was terrible.
I heard about that. I was like, how the heck this game was out for this long, and it took him this long to fix it, to fix that problem, or was that more of a recent problem that came?
I think it was more of a recent thing, but regardless, it's just kind of like, I don't know what to say. I mean, Square Enix. Square Enix can't help themselves but fuck up. You know, Square Enix is like the guy who just can't stop. Square Enix is like remember when you were in high school, there was always that one kid who was always fucking up. You know, like the teacher, like they'd always be asleep in class, or like they'd miss their homework, and you like couldn't believe they were actually still in class. They hadn't flunked out. Like that's Square Enix. They're just consistently fucking up. Like it started with last year with that Avengers game. Because here's the thing, right? When they announced the Avengers game, I was like, oh, so this is going to be a single player game where you go around, you know, doing stuff. And I was like, oh, that's cool. It'll be nice. And then I heard it's going to be always online and it's going to be multiplayer. I was like, oh, God, what have you done?
This is going to be screwed.
Yeah, because, I mean, I know we always like to say licensed games suck. But remember, all of us are around the same age or close to it. We remember there was a time when licensed games were good. Like, the 6th gen is when licensed games started to get good. It's where we got Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2. It's where we got, Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man Web of Shadows, Hulk Ultimate Destruction, that Wolverine game that was ultra violent, the Punisher game that was ultra violent. Like, we started getting good licensed games. And then, especially from Marvel, and then, like, it kind of died down again. But, I mean, like, you know, there's been some good licensed games, but shit. Square Enix is bringing back the Dark Ages. The Dark Ages of bad licensed games.
AKA shovelware.
Well, I mean, I don't think the shovelware comes from games being cheaply made. I think Square Enix put a lot of money into this game being made. I think the problem is that
this is better than shovelware.
Well, I mean, shovelware implies that it's a cheap cash grab. The fact that they got the Marvel license and they put you can look at the game and tell that there's a lot of money that went into it. Like, it's always online, which means they have to put money for a server. They got the Marvel license, which means they had to put a lot of money because Marvel isn't licensing out Marvel shit on the cheap. I think they put a lot of money into it. The problem is that, like, they put an emphasis on the wrong shit, which is what Square Enix did. Like, because from people who I know who've played the Avengers game, they say that the single player portion, like if you play the adventure mode, the single player mode that focuses on Kamala Khan, which is the new Miss Marvel, actually, that portion is pretty good, which tells me this game started out as a single player game. And then Square Enix said, okay, shit, we need to make more money off of this. Let's add cosmetic microtransactions to it, and let's make it multiplayer. So then people keep on playing it. Because the
game about superheroes.
Yeah, in theory, people were supposed to continue playing it and put money down for microtransactions. It's supposed to generate money continuously. Now, to be fair, I have nothing against them doing that. Had the game been free or like $30 at launch, and then they're like, okay, you can either grind in order to unlock these costumes, or you can spend like $10-15 and get some type of currency and buy them, I wouldn't have been against that. But the fact that they charged $60 for this game and certain characters were console specific, I mean, Square Enix handled it very badly, marketing this game, and that's on them. That's all on Square Enix, in my opinion. Those of you watching, you guys have any thoughts on it? You have any, well, you know, agree, disagree, yes, no, maybe so? Leave it in the chat, and we'll get to that. We'll get to your questions.
Yeah,
but with that being said, that's...
We could probably say that Square Enix is definitely going to be on the A-hole of the week list.
Well, they've been having a bad year. Because even when they did that E3 where they showed off... no, I mean... Actually, no. The Enix side of it is doing pretty good. The Enix part of Square Enix is doing pretty well. The other part of it is doing poorly. Sorry, the Square. Because Square, like Enix is doing like a remake, an HD 2D remake of Dragon Quest 3, which a lot of people think Dragon Quest 3 is arguably one of the best, you know, one of the best games in the series. You know, arguably, chronologically, it's the first game in the Loto trilogy. Chronologically, it goes Dragon Quest 3, then Dragon Quest 1, then Dragon Quest 2. And those three games together are called the Loto trilogy of Dragon Quest. And then Dragon Quest 4 is the start of a new trilogy. All the way to 6. Actually, like 7. So, you know, I mean... but then you get Square Enix. I mean, first, the Avengers came out last year, and it was, like... kind of underwhelming. And they were like, well, you know, when Black Panther comes out, I'm like, let me explain something to you, okay? Last year, people were stuck in their houses. And I know I bought a lot of video games. So, if people are stuck in their houses and bored and just wanted something to fill their time up, and they're not playing your time sink of a game, that means that people don't want to play your game. It's not that, once we release the right content, no, you just weren't, people didn't want to play your damn game. So, the fact that they have this game that's already has all these issues, and then they're like also leaking people's data over the interwebs is just, it's indicative of Square Enix fucking up continuously. I don't know what happened. I mean, what do you guys think about it? You agree, disagree, yes, no, maybe so? Thoughts?
I have to face palm every time I hear Square goofing up this badly.
So is this a recent thing that was happening, or has this been happening for a while?
It happened this week.
To fix it?
I think it was recent. I don't think this is something that just happened. I'm just saying that, okay.
I said this week that happened.
Yeah, you factor in that this particular game has been failing, because it has been failing. It started, like, when they first showed the game off, and they had the not the Avengers.
Yeah.
Like, we tried to get the likenesses. I'm like, what y'all should have done is gone for an art style that was more comic booky, and no one would have said anything. Because people would have said, oh, these are based on the comics. That would have been a smart move. They didn't do that. They tried to make it, like, semi-lifelike, which just really illustrates how much this game isn't really, like, I don't know what audience they're going for. Because if this is supposed to be for hardcore comic book fans, it kind of fails. If it's going for people who like the movies, it kind of fails. It's just, y'all just, like, who is this for? Who was the target audience for this game? Then the game actually comes out, and it, like, literally, I think the highest population rate of people playing the game was when it first came out. And then it started crashing. Then you go from there to, the whole controversy where Spider-Man is a PlayStation exclusive. That obviously that didn't help the game, because guess what? People ain't playing that shit on the PlayStation either.
I was going to say, where is it being played again?
I know that consoles are the highest population of people playing the game, but I think it's low on everything. It's low on PC, it's low on console. And then you factor in, and then just last week you had the whole, Final Fantasy. We're remaking Final Fantasy 1, but it's going to be a dude bro hack and slasher. Dark Souls light hack and slasher. I'm like, who the fuck signed off on that shit? Who's they would have done better taking the original 3 Final Fantasies. They would have done better.
Somebody is on shrooms to think of that idea.
They would have done better taking the original 3 Final Fantasy games and remaking them in the HD 2D engine from Octopath Traveler and releasing that, like overhauling the combat to be like that. That would have been better. Nah, dude, bro. Like, I don't get it. I don't fucking get it. But whatever. And now this. Hey, guess what? People who are streaming the game we want people to get interested in, because now we're finally releasing Black Panther. Guess the fuck what? We're leaking their personal data so you can dox their ass.
Worse.
I mean, damn. Dox them or swat them. I'm like,
because remember, IP addresses can actually tell where you really live.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they can be doxed or swatted. I mean, it's just fucking dumb. I mean, it's like, Square Enix, what the fuck is wrong with you? I mean, like, you guys don't act like a multi-billion-dollar company. You act like someone who just started a business last week. Just a few years ago. We just getting started. We don't really... That's all we going with. But whatever. I'm gonna... Anyone else has anything else they want to say about it before we go on to the next thing?
What else can be said?
Square Enix, you fucked up. Do better.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. That is pretty bad.
The sad thing is that they could really fix all of this if they did one simple thing. Just one thing. There's only one thing they got to do to fix all of this. Do a remake of Chrono Trigger using the HD2D engine.
Yep.
You do that. I mean, I could walk in on Square Enix fucking my girlfriend, and I'd be like, well, maybe they were horny. I don't know. Just make sure you're using a condom. I'll be okay. I'm being facetious.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be
Your
okay
actual
with
Square
that.
Enix. Oh boy.
I wouldn't be okay with that. But aside from that, I'd be. I wouldn't be okay with that. But you get what I'm saying. It's like, all they have to, like, for some reason, Square Enix just refuses to do shit that people want them to do. They keep on making games that no one asked for. I'm like, why?
I think this is the same reason Capcom doesn't want to give more fighters than Street Fighter some love.
Well, I mean, Street Fighter is their, it's one of their, principal things
Like
they ever
Final
created.
Fantasy,
So,
like Final Fantasy, the Square Enix.
yeah, so whether you agree or disagree, that's just the way it is. I'm not happy with it, but that's just the way it is. You know what I'm saying?
As I said, the Final Fantasy has turned out to be like Capcom with certain things.
So, anyway, anyone else have anything else they want to say before we move on to the next topic? Nothing?
Eh,
No one ain't got.
Oh yeah, fix
I punch
Babylon
Square Enix
Falls.
enough right now.
That game looks terrible.
What, you played it or they fixed it?
No, I'm saying that game looks. I remember being excited for Babylon Falls, and then they showed it at E3. It's like, what is this mess?
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, but I mean that's that's the thing about a lot of shit that they show at E3. Like Anthem, when they first showed it, that teaser that teaser demo they did, which it turns out they just threw some shit together, looked great when they first showed it, and then after the fact, you're like, this is terrible. Like later on, it's like, what's the fucking point of this game? That's life, apparently. So, I mean, what can you say? What can you say? Except, man, it sucks to be a gamer sometimes. Speaking of sucking to be a gamer, here's a little news story. This is from the Back for Blood people. Back for Blood, the game that's being made by the original Turtle Rock, the people who created Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2, and we won't talk about that other game they made that was like, kind of like Left 4 Dead, but it's like 4 people fighting in aliens, and that game that like died horrifically. Back for Blood, which is basically Left 4 Dead 3, but not really, will be always online initially at launch, and then after that they will have offline or solo play. So, you done fucked up. You done fucked up. You done fucked up. Already. And I was interested in this game because it's been a while since I've played Left 4 Dead, and I remember how much fun that was. But if I have to always be online to play the game, I'm not happy about that. Because, I mean, I have decent internet, right?
I was going to say, do they have an offline mode at least? Or
they said that they may eventually add an offline mode or solo play, but it's going to be added later. I'm like, y'all done already fucked up. So the only way you can play this game is if you have a decent internet connection. Come on, man. Y'all know better than this. But some good news about the game. If one person playing has the DLC, it will be accessible to everyone as long as one person has it. So, you know, I guess that's
Spread
cool.
that like a virus.
I mean, it seems to me that what they're doing in this game is that they probably have an online server, and they basically are sharing some of the load of the instance with, like you're sharing it amongst the people playing it, and that's why they all have to be online all the time. I'm guessing. I don't know. I don't know, man.
It's something to think about.
But they're already fucking up. That's all I gotta say. They're already.
How should the Department of Defense?
So, I don't know what to say. Man, yeah, it's always online. In good news, apparently Psychonauts 2 was made with no crunch so far, according to a senior producer. So, you know, this game was in development for a very long time. But, I mean, the game looks great. Like, I don't know what engine they're using, but I wish they would just use that engine to remake the original Psychonauts. Because the game looks friggin' great. Never has Rasputin ever looked so good. Sasha 9, Mia Nova, Coach Oleander.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm like, God damn. Like, here's the thing. Every time people get mad at Tim Schafer, and they're like, Tim Schafer, fuck that guy. But then I see how creative their games are and how much love goes into their games and craftsmanship. I'm like, I can't get mad at you, bro. I can't get mad at you. I'm like Heath Ledger in Brokeback Mountain. I just can't quit you, but not in a gay way. I just I like Double Fine's games. And for those of you, Costume Quest 1 and 2, great RPGs. They kind of do something like what you would see from Mario RPG, Paper Mario 1 and 2, but it's in 3D instead of 2D. Stacking is a modern adventure game, except the gimmick of the game is that you play this little tiny Russian nesting doll who basically can take over the slightly bigger set. So little Charlie is the smallest, so you can basically take over the body of the second biggest, and from there the bigger above that, until you're eventually taking over huge characters doing their action moves, like a huge fat guy who can fart. Which seems like it might be useless, but you can actually go to a vent, pass gas, it gets sucked into the vent and blows out the room. Everyone comes out getting sick, and you can use that to sneak past some people. So, I mean, and there's multiple ways to solve stuff with Charlie's abilities and taking over people. So, you know, Double Fine has some good games. Headlander's pretty cool. It's a platformer where you play an astronaut who's just a head. You can take over robotic bodies by taking off the heads of other robots and then taking over their bodies with your human head. It's pretty interesting stuff. So, I mean, I'm glad that, you know, Double Fine being bought out by Xbox is able to get this game out. And it'll be on Game Pass August 25th, folks. So if you're really into this shit, here you go, folks. It'll also come into PC and the Xbox. I don't know if it's coming to the PlayStation 5. Let me check. Psychonauts 2 platforms. Okay, yes, it's hitting the PS. It's hitting the platforms. It's hitting PC, Mac, Linux, PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series SX. It is not hitting the PS5. I don't think it will ever hit the PS5.
What game is that?
Psychonauts 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to be. I don't think it's ever going to hit the PS5. If Microsoft is smart, I think they're going to be like, yeah, this is not hitting the PS5. Because I think a lot of people are really into Psychonauts, and it's been in development since 2016, 2017. Yeah, I don't see that shit happening. If Microsoft is smart, they should be like, yeah, they're not getting it, and I don't blame them. But that's just me. That's my own personal opinion. So yeah, Psychonauts 2, they met their burden, their goal. So, I mean, you know, we're finally getting that game after 6 years, 5 years. You know, Tim Schafer initially said the game was going to take 18 million to be made. I think it's closer to 30 at this point. But I'm okay with that because, you know, Psychonauts is one of those games that I felt always should have been bigger. You know what I'm saying? And it just kind of didn't, you know, it didn't blow up like it should have, even though it's a pretty good game. I mean, it's better than the sum of its parts because the platforming isn't great. The combat isn't great. The pacing isn't great. But it's like you put all the things that aren't great together, and then you add in the sense of humor, the character design, the voice acting, and it's like this is better than the sum of its parts. Like meeting Fred Bonaparte and Raphael and Linda the Lungfish. She's like, yeah, you can call me by my real name. What's your real name? Linda. Like, that is such out of left field. Linda the Lungfish. I didn't see that coming. Dr. Lobato. We'll get to the Intellivision Amico with Tommy Tallarico at the end because I think everyone needs to talk about that. I mean, I think if anyone saw that interview from Intellivision Amico and the E3 presentation failed, where Pat the NES Punk and Pat Contry and Ian Ferguson broke it down about how it's just all fucking up. I've been watching this for a while, and I'm like, man, I used to have such respect for Tommy Tallarico, but now that he's doing this scammy ass shit, I'm just like, I can't support you. I'm getting some real, like, the way he's marketing the Amico, I'm getting some real Wii U vibes from it. And we all know that the Wii U had some bad marketing.
Oh yeah, that was marketing for the Wii U was absolute trash.
And the worst thing is that, like, the Wii U had good games. The Amico doesn't even have good games. So, like, you can't even say, well, the marketing sucks. But the Dreamcast had shit marketing too. But the Dreamcast also had good games on the system. The Amico has shit marketing, and most of these games look like shit you could play on your smartphone or a tablet. So I'm like, God damn, I don't know how you could do that. So we'll talk about that at the end. Let's see. So D&D Dark Alliance has come out, and it's pretty shitty.
I was gonna say, I know D&D has its ups and downs. How bad can this down get?
The game is bad. It is pretty goddamn bad. It's
Hopefully it's not glitching, but
it is very glitchy. It's very, very glitchy.
Oh God. Ravenloft? Please do not come to this section of Dungeons and Dragons.
It's very glitchy. Like, okay, basically, this game is supposed to be in ostensibly the third game in the Dark Alliance series. Now, for those of you who don't remember the Dark Alliance series, the first two Dark Alliance games in the 6th gen on the PS2 and the Xbox and the GameCube were basically hack and slash. They were Diablo clones, but they used the D&D license. And the game started out in Baldur's Gate, because for those of us who've read the books based in the Baldur's Gate series, and for those of us who have played the series that was set in Faerun, where you have Baldur's Gate and all that type of shit, we all know that Baldur's Gate is used. It's almost like a cliche. Like, if you're playing a D&D tabletop game and your DM says, "Yeah, it all begins in Baldur's Gate," oh shit. Look, this city is so fucked up. Why do we keep on always starting here? Why don't people live someplace safer? But anyway,
You gonna say, really, are we gonna be in the one place that we get our loot jacked again?
yeah, you're either going to be kidnapped, enslaved. There's going to be a murder that's going to wind up. You're going to be going up against a crime syndicate. It's always some shit in Baldur's Gate. But anyway, the first two games were basically Diablo clones, and relatively well done Diablo clones. And then for some reason they fucked it up with this game. This game is more like Vermintide 1 and 2, but you can clearly see that they kind of ran out of money and they fucked up because the game's physics engine is trash. The programming, just basic bugs. Like in the original Baldur's Gates, you were overpowered. So the way that the enemies would try and beat you was by throwing tons and tons of scrubs at you. And you would basically, fight your way through groups of enemies. Well, this game is a little bit different because you don't get groups of enemies coming at you. The enemies are tanks. They're HP sponges. And then you factor in shoddy AI programming where enemies can't path themselves to where you are if you jump over a gap. And so they just stand there. If you're there's only one ranged attacker in the game, so if your ranged attacker stands on steps of a higher elevation and uses their ultimate attacks, their special attacks, they miss because it hasn't been programmed to hit the characters. Basically, the game is a mess. It's a mess.
Oh God!
If you're a D&D fan, you're like, come on, man, come on.
I was hoping that that's just a lie, because if that's true, oh God, somebody roll a natural one.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like this isn't like, here's the thing, okay? Most people consider D&D games to be shit anyway because, most of them are kind of like not that good. But then you factor in you're going to do a D&D game and it's going to be bad, like this bad, like really fucking bad. I mean, I'm like, I don't know what to say to you. Except you've been fucking up. I don't know what to say. I mean, anyone have any thoughts about how bad this game apparently is? Yes, no, maybe so?
I haven't seen any gameplay of it, so I don't have an opinion on it.
All right. If you get a chance, if you go to the chat, you can click on the review, watch some of the gameplay of it. It's pretty embarrassing. You don't have to do it right now. Just do it when you get a chance. Next, what we all kind of suspected, Tekken X Street Fighter, the game that was supposed to be the follow-up to Street Fighter Cross Tekken, died in development.
Price of this one.
I wish they had just admitted that, because people kept on asking, where's Street Fighter? Where's Tekken Cross Street Fighter? None of your damn business.
It's been dead for years. That game's been dead for years.
It's been a decade. I'm like, why did you
Yeah, it's been a
people?
while.
Why didn't they just tell people, yeah, the game doesn't exist? Why not? Why not just fucking be honest and just say the game doesn't, like, the game has been canceled. Like, I don't.
And no, it's not gonna have a Duke Nukem revival.
Like, why can't you just be honest and tell someone that the shit's been canceled? Like, I don't. Like, this is like, I'm not saying that you have to tell everyone. You have to be completely transparent, but they could have just said, "Hey, yeah, the game is no longer being worked on," or, we have no comments at this time. Like, why be quiet for all those years, for a decade, for 10 years?
The only way, as I said, only Duke Nukem was somehow able to pull this off, and he barely got away
that game was.
with he barely got away with his legs.
Yeah, that game was a steaming pile of dog shit, as we all can attest. And the sad thing is that I wanted Duke Nukem Forever to be good because I like Duke Nukem. I mean the old Duke Nukem game that was in 2D, that was a platformer, and then the sequel to that was more of an expansion, and then Duke Nukem 3D. I like those games, but I mean, like, I was like, man, I'm looking forward to a new Duke Nukem, and I mean, like, just be honest. Just tell people, look, the game was canceled. And then people can move on. Like, why would you not say anything? Stupid ass. Anyway, your guys' thoughts on this? We'll never get that Duke Nukem. I mean that Tekken Cross Street Fighter game. We'll never have M. Bison versus that jackass. What's his name? Majima.
First Tekken, after that first Tekken Cross
The guy
Street
who
Fighter,
throws everybody into the volcanoes, or something?
No, Majima is sorry, Heihachi. We'll never get to see Heihachi versus M. Bison.
Oh,
which would have been awesome.
Yeah,
because they're both are unfair, overpowered, boss ass badasses, and then just to like have that game and just not have it even just exist. I don't get it. But that's my opinion. You guys have any thoughts about it before we move on to the next topic?
I think they should have announced that it was canceled years ago. Why did they wait and do it now?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, this is the equivalent of a girl you dated. Like, she's with a dude and she says, you know what? If I ever break up with the other guy, I'm going to go with you. And you're like, oh, that's cool. And then she ghosts you. And then 10 years later, oh, yeah, me and that guy we were dating, we got back together and got married. It's like, well, what the fuck? Why did you just tell me?
Yeah, I would have just, if a woman would have told me that, it's like, okay, whatever. I'd be like, I'm just going to go find somebody of my own.
Why would you just tell someone, like, yeah, I got married? Like, I don't get that.
Yeah.
Just tell someone, hey, yeah, I got married. You're not the first person who got married. You won't be the last person to get married. Shit. I don't get that. Like, you think this is, like, no one was really holding out hope for Tekken Cross Street Fighter because Street Fighter Cross Tekken was shit.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
I was gonna say, after the last mess that was Tekken and Street Fighter, I'm not sure where the enthusiasm is.
Yeah, but because expectations were so low, they could have done something cool. But, when you fuck up, you fuck up. That's all I can say. I mean, where else can you go, But, that's my opinion. Anything else you guys want to say before we move on to the next topic? Anyone? Anyone have anything else they want to say before we move on to the next topic? Anything? No? Okay.
I think we're good.
All right. Next topic. Back to Square Enix. So, as we've seen, Square Enix loves fucking up. they can't help it. So Final Fantasy IX, the game that lends itself very well to the art style lends itself very well to animation, is being turned into an animated series. Ha ha!
Final Fantasy 9?
Final Fantasy IX is being turned into an animated series. It's being made with the French Cyber Group Studios in collaboration with Square Enix. Now, I don't know if this is going to be based upon the game, or is it going to be like in that universe, but kind of, has its own thing going on. I don't know. But, I don't know anything about it. So.
Any hopes?
I'm not really that in love with Final Fantasy IX. I think the class system is a little too rigid. And it's kind of like Chrono Trigger, kind of dual text. Special attacks are a little too... Like, Final Fantasy IX is a little too casual for me. But I can see why a lot of people like it. I mean, I'm just going to say it right now. I consider most of I consider most of the 5th gen Final Fantasies to be kind of underwhelming to me. Just to me, like Final Fantasy 7. To me, Final Fantasy 7 is basically like a lesser version of Final Fantasy 6. Final Fantasy 8 has some good ideas. It's just the game is fun. The character progression is fundamentally broken. So it's like really hard for me to get into it. Because typically speaking, like, okay, you're having trouble with a boss in most RPGs. What do?
You usually try to grind. Or
Exactly.
at least look for resources.
You usually try to grind. And then you look for resources. But resources can only take you so far if you can't grind. Well, Final Fantasy 8 turns that on its head. Because if you grind in Final Fantasy 8 to grind up your skills and abilities, the enemies get tougher. So it actually rewards you for not grinding. Enemies are easier to take down. Bosses are underpowered. It's the most ass-backwards thing I've ever seen before in my life.
Wow, so the enemies level up with you? The world levels up with you?
Yeah. Like, if you
Which
you level
is
up...
kind of a bad thing.
It's ass-backwards.
They expect you to use the junction system, which makes it go from very hard to you're punching a baby.
Well, basically,
easy.
The way around that, like, because the way you level up in 8 is like you level up, but individual stats go up as you use them. So if you use melee weapons, those stats go. If I remember correctly, it's been a while since I played that game. Am I correct, Jewel? Since you've played a lot of 8.
I was saying that the weapons could only power you up so far, even though you can get your higher class weapons pretty early in the game.
Yeah, but don't your stats go up as you
system.
Don't your stats go up as you use like certain
you need to use
actions?
the GF system to help you out with that.
Yeah, but there's a way around that, because in the game you can literally absorb certain enemies and get them as fucking summons. So there's like an enemy early on in the game.
But I was saying that you can also absorb their magic.
Yeah.
Which is the key of how how you boost your stats up for real in that game.
But you can also absorb certain enemies and turn them into summons. And there's this enemy early on in the game that's this giant T-Rex. You can literally grind absorbing that enemy and basically power up, like just get tons of summons for that enemy and just roll through the next 2/3 of the game just destroying enemies with that one summon. It's ridiculous. It's like the game tried so hard to force you to play a certain way, but then you can break it by doing something else. It's weird. Like 8 just is kind of 8 has some good ideas, they just aren't well executed. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is a good idea. Too bad it's so badly executed.
So bad that it makes me wonder how the only good thing about it is
the card
the
game
mini game in it. Yep.
Yeah, but that's not a glowing endorsement.
I said that's the only thing, and that's like a little boat in an ocean.
That's like going to a restaurant where the food sucks, but the complimentary bread is great. Don't eat anything but the complimentary bread. Well, why the fuck am I coming here if I can't eat anything but the free bread? Shit. That's kind of the problem with Final Fantasy VIII. 9 tried to go back to basics. I will give them that. Keyword, they tried to go back to basics. They sucked at it, but they tried. Like, well, maybe.
I'm trying. Oh boy, imagine if they don't try. That's a lot more scary.
Well, they tried. I mean, like, here's the thing. 9, for a lot of people, 9 is like one of the best games in the series. Of the 5th gen Final Fantasies, 9 is one of the best. The reason 9 is one of the best is because, well, it kind of went back to basics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, they like that. The only reason I don't like 9 all that much is just because it's a little too
simple.
Yeah, it's a little overly simplistic. Like, playing Final Fantasy 9 is like it feels like I'm playing Final Fantasy 4, but without the cool story. Although, because initially the story is kind of like, you don't get it. Now, I will give 9 this much credit. Once you get to the end of the game and to the end game where you're like figuring out what's actually going on, the story is actually kind of cool, but you shouldn't have to go through 30 plus hours of gameplay to get to, oh, this story is actually cool. Like that, that's not cool to me. For an RPG, you should basically figure out that an RPG is badass once you reach the halfway point. That should be the moment where you realize, okay, I need to continue playing this because this is fucking awesome. And you don't get that in Final Fantasy 9. You don't get that until the last third of the game. It's like, okay, this is not very well designed. This is not a very good story. I mean, it's not terrible. It's not like, oh my god, this is absolutely unplayable, but it's like this could have been better. But, it is what it is. But anyway, they're making that into an RPG, they're making that into a fucking Jesus, I forgot the name. They're making it into an anime, and it's coming from the Cyber Studio, the people who made that weird ass French anime. You know what I'm talking about? That weird ass French anime that was so weird back in the day.
Ooh, that
something Alita or something like that. Code name, whatever. I forgot the name of it, but it used to be on. I'm forgetting the name of it, but you guys know what I'm talking about. It was that weird ass game from back in the day. I wasn't that into it personally. I was
I can already guess what that is.
Was it a game or was it a show?
It
was a show on Cartoon Network. It was like it came on
Lyoko.
Yeah, Code Lyoko. It's the studio behind Code Lyoko. Which, considering how
I liked it.
It's funny that we
I
both know
liked
it.
it as a kid.
Yeah.
But I don't.
I didn't like the art
I
style.
still like it, but it's not as polished as I thought it was in the past.
Yeah, I didn't like the art style of Code Lyoko. But considering that big head, big eye art style is what they were known for, that would actually be perfect for a Final Fantasy IX animated series.
Yeah.
So, I mean, kudos for them for choosing the perfect studio to make that shit. But, I mean, why now? Y'all should have been doing this years ago. Like,
I don't know. I actually like that show. The art style was weird, but I thought it was decent. Yeah, I mean, at the time, Cartoon Network was being weird. Remember when they switched out Toonami from a Goozy?
No, I don't.
Block?
I did not. That tells you how much I was paying attention. Like, I kind of stopped giving a shit about Cartoon Network when they killed off the first Tom and put the new cool-looking Tom in. And I was like, I don't like this new Tom. And I was like, I'm done. And I walked away. And then they started getting rid of the shows I really liked. Like, they had dropped Kids Next Door, Dexter's Laboratory, Samurai Jack, Johnny Bravo, Powerpuff Girls, stuff like that, and they started going for like weird shit, like like weird shit like Code Lyoko and stuff like that. I was like, I can't, I'm done. This was around the time where they were like, we're gonna make a live action cartoon. I was like, why?
What?
I mean, shouldn't Cartoon Network?
Every time I hear somebody say that, it makes me say, what?
I'm like, shouldn't a Cartoon Network show cartoons?
Cartoons?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's obviously different leadership.
Yeah.
At the time, it's just that whole era was a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
And it hasn't really gotten any better.
No, it has not. They're trying, but it's still kind of like, this could be so much better. But, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like how Food Network doesn't actually show people how to cook anymore. It's all just cooking shows and like competitions and
I was gonna
game
say,
shows and shit.
That's why we got people like I suck at cooking or you suck at cooking and binging with Babish.
Yeah, well, the sad thing is that cooking, the Food Network doesn't show people how to cook. Because I remember watching the Food Network, how I learned how to cook. Like, because when I was a really little kid, there was no Food Network. If you want to watch a cooking show, you only had one choice: public broadcasting. And we only had 4 cooking shows on public broadcasting: Yan Can Cook, Cooking with the Frugal Gourmet, Lydia Bastianich, who, she's okay, and the Louisiana Chef. That's all we had. And Great Chefs, Great Cities. But, I mean, Great Chefs, Great Cities didn't really show you how to cook. You just saw chefs cooking in a like they literally just had a film crew go into the back kitchen and watch a chef cooking. It was kind of interesting. But yeah. And then Food Network came out, and Food Network actually showed people how to cook. They had professional chefs showing people how to cook. But my favorite show on Food Network back in the day was Good Eats with Alton Brown.
Oh, yeah. Not only did you learn how to cook some things, but also you got some history about certain foods.
That is correct. And, it actually taught you how to make shit.
I actually watch that sometimes still.
I look, the guy came back, but he's on Discovery now. And then his stuff gets ported over to Food Network. And I'm like, yay! I'll be honest with you, I do still watch it because I do like Good Eats. Because I don't know, I like Alton Brown. And he does still teach you how to cook stuff. And anything that teaches you how to cook, because, cooking is a skill that can, saves you money. And when I was in college, the food was so bad that watching food shows was like food porn for me. I was like, oh my god, good food, amazing.
Your college had terrible food?
I think every college has terrible food. I've never been to any college that had good food.
Yeah.
Yeah. The food was bad, but
what's
that's all you had. And after you ate the food, I guarantee, like clockwork, 30 minutes after you ate, you had to go to the bathroom. Every damn time.
Was your mother a really good cook? So was it really hard to also stomach it? Did that also make it difficult too?
I won't say my mother was a really good cook or is a really good cook. I would say that, because even when I was in high school, I was cooking for myself. But,
Yeah.
like, the food at my college was so bad that it just, you know, it's one of those things where you're just like, okay, I can't deal with this. This is too much. The food was terrible.
Yeah.
It was really bad. Like really, really, really bad. Like the food was so bad at my college, it wasn't even funny.
Yeah.
Like I don't think you should eat food and as soon as you eat it, 20 minutes after you eat it, you're running to the bathroom.
I'm honestly thankful that the college I'm going to has not given me some bad food. Then again, we got vending machines too, so I at least got a chance to escape if needed be.
Yeah, the food was bad. Like the food was absolutely terrible. It was so bad that I couldn't even like you literally like okay I had to basically change up when I ate because I knew after I'd eat I'd have to run to the bathroom and just going to the bathroom because you'd eat like whatever they were feeding us would make you sick. And I had to do it, but you know, I mean, it got better over time. I guess. Anyway, we were talking about. I don't know how we got to bad food from Final Fantasy, but whatever. Aliens Fireteam Elite, which used to be called just Aliens Fireteam, is kind of like a squad-based shooter where a group of your friends play as Colonial Marines shooting alien xenomorphs. And this looks like it could actually be a legitimately good Aliens game. Your guys' thoughts on this? Yes, no, maybe so? Or should they just leave the Aliens franchise alone?
For me,
Well, I heard good things about Aliens Isolation, so I don't think everybody's necessarily,
Shit in the bed with the franchise?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, all right then. Okay. So, Jewel, you were gonna say something?
I was going to say that Aliens seems like one of those franchises that were quite a good niche, though they kind of got rotted over the ages.
Yeah, it kind of went to seed because of
one little typo glitch.
well, it went to seed because in my opinion, it went to seed because of Gearbox with that Alien Colonial Marines, which could have been an awesome game, but they just shat the bed on that, man. they farmed that game out to so many different studios, and it just, you can tell that they just were like, they just kind of fucked up, you know what I'm saying? So, which is kind of sad because I like the Aliens. It like Aliens is like the Metroid series. Like if Nintendo had the resources, you could do so many cool spin-offs with that franchise. And I'm saying, and for some reason, they don't. They just kind of leave it where it is. So, what are you gonna do? You know?
Yeah.
It's like, man, this could have been awesome. Let's not talk about it. It's like, come on, bruh. Oh well. Anyway, so personally, I want the game to do well, but I'm not holding out hope. You know what I'm saying? Just because, you know, the proof is in the pudding. I'm gonna wait till the game comes out, and then I'll be like, okay, I support this. I don't support this. You know what I'm saying? I'm reserving judgment.
Yeah.
Nintendo will discontinue the Splatoon 2 online lounge. So,
Well, I'm not surprised on that.
well, considering they're coming out with Splatoon 3, which, I mean, I hate to say this, but I really do think Splatoon should be a one per console generation type game. I don't think there should be multiple iterations in one console generation. Like Mario Kart, I think there should only be one Mario Kart. But that's my own personal opinion. I know some people will disagree, but whatever. So, breaking news: John McAfee, yes, that McAfee, the guy who built up the McAfee antivirus and then sold it to someone, and then they sold it to Intel. John McAfee found dead in Spanish prison cell.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, John McAfee.
Isn't that guy a
The
bit of a
one
nut?
that,
Yeah, he
the one
did go
that
nuts.
the one that went to that gave Norton its VPN of sorts. That McAfee.
Well, he didn't really create VPN. What he did was he
I mean, the antivirus. Yes.
yeah, he's the
That is
anti.
the worst of its kind.
Well, when McAfee first created McAfee antivirus, it's actually pretty good. Relatively inexpensive for home users, businesses, relatively budget friendly to small businesses. Actually, a pretty good thing. The problem is that when his company went corporate and was bought out, they started including all this bloatware with McAfee, which kind of made it into the trash it is today over time.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it first came out, it was pretty good. I mean, but that's the story of most things. Like when Windows first came out, it was a really good, not when it first came out, but once it really hit its stride, Windows was actually a really good thing. But, Windows now sucks because, I mean, it's very like restrictive and they collect your data and there's an online mode where you have to be online to use it. It's just kind of, kind of sucks these days. But what are you going to do, So yeah, your guys' thoughts on Nintendo discontinuing the Splatoon 2 online lounge?
I don't know. It's bound to happen. These things unfortunately happen.
Yeah.
But is he still able to play online, or not able to play online anymore?
I mean, I guess you can still play online. I don't know. Here, let me check. Cause I I gave my Splatoon 2 away. I don't play it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't own that game anymore. Okay, so you can still play online with your friends. The online thing just let you set up matches with your friends, so you can't do that anymore. So I'm guessing they're just gonna put it in Splatoon 3. I guess they're just moving those servers over. I don't know. I mean, I always thought the online matchmaking that you could do on Splatoon Online was kind of shit anyway, but that's just me. Like, I'm like, why am I connecting with the phone? Now that I realize the limitations of the Switch, I can see why they offloaded some of what could have been potentially, processing power that the game needs to run the game, that the system needs to run the game. It doesn't also need to be trying to coordinate chat and shit like that while trying to run that. Because, if someone has a shitty connection on Splatoon 2 and it's lagging, it fucks up the game. But imagine if the system's struggling to run that while also trying
with
to
voice chat
connect to 3 other people. Yeah, it would be a mess. I could see why they did it, but it was kind of shit. I mean, oh well. I mean, for the people who used it, although I don't think that many people used it, because I think even when it came out and I was playing Splatoon 2, I was basically playing that with, we'd use, I think because Google Online hadn't come out. Google Plus hadn't been taken off yet, and we used Google Plus and then Discord to set up matches. So we weren't even using online
and
to set up matches.
And some of us still do.
So
I mean, as in some of us still use Discord and that to chat online.
I mean, this is just another reason why would I pay $20 for something I'm not using? But whatever. So there you go, folks. Splatoon 2 online, the little app that they had that lets you voice chat with friends and set stuff up. It's being taken away. I don't think enough people were using it. I think that was the issue. Now Nintendo's not going to say anything because Nintendo keeps their fucking mouths shut. But I suspect,
unlike other people,
I suspect that not enough people were playing it. Were using the service. So why keep something around that no one's using? We have another story. So this is our final story before we get to some of the opinion pieces. And it's from PC Gamer. And it's yet another person saying that Nintendo should put their games on PC. And they're like, yeah, you should put your games on PC. Why?
Excuse me. Can you say that again? What was their topic?
It makes more sense
Nintendo
than ever.
should put their games on PC.
It makes more sense for Nintendo to put its games on PC than Sony. And they're saying that Nintendo should put their console exclusive IPs on PC as well. Now, I'm going to say something that's going to make some people angry because I'm not totally against Nintendo putting IPs on PC. And before someone says some shit to me about it,
that's what I hear.
Hear me out. For games that kind of are ultra niche and don't do that well on solely a Nintendo console, like that Fatal Frame game that they put on the Wii U that just bombed spectacularly. Stuff like Chibi Robo. For older games that the audience, like if it was only on the Nintendo console, would bomb spectacularly and they need a larger audience to get into it, I think it would be smart to put those games also on PC. Like Custom Robo. Unless you're...
I was going to say, that's a that's a case-by-case basis, I
Yeah,
think.
that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, unless you're like a hardcore custom Robo fan, most people aside from me and maybe a few people who've played custom Robo have ever heard of that fucking franchise. If it was on PC and Nintendo put some real money behind it, you get a larger audience wanting to play that game or that series. And then like the next game in the series, like once they done, it's like, well, you can only get it on, or maybe like exclusively, it's coming first to the home console. Because I mean, to be fair, like I said, there's tons of IPs that Nintendo is just sitting on, and they're never gonna put on their home console, their next gaming device. Because it's like right now they're appealing to more of the casual people, but there's niche shit they're just sitting on that's like, man, you could do something with this. Come on, there's an audience out there that would play this shit, and you lose nothing by getting people exposed to it and making it a thing. That's just putting more shit that you can have for the next console generation or next device or whatever. But that's my own personal opinion. I now for like mainline shit like your Mario's, your Zeldas, your Metroids, yeah, you can only play that on Nintendo console. But I mean, like Pikmin. Pikmin is a strategy game. I mean, do I think that could have been on probably would have been slightly better with a mouse and keyboard? Probably. Um, you know, just for people who like those types of things. You know, but that's my own personal opinion. Without people pirating. Now,
I'm mixed, but
I think
I'm mixed, but I could say that I can understand that this would be a game-by-game situation. But yeah,
for certain games that like maybe just don't have a big enough audience, I would say put it on PC. Or games that maybe they flopped when they first came out, put the shit on PC, give it new life, let people play it. That'd be cool because they lose nothing by putting those games on PC. Except, you know, they lose nothing. It doesn't devalue the IP because it flopped when it first came out. No one was playing that shit on the original console. Like Wario Land Shake It. That game is a gorgeous looking game. It bombed on the Wii. Okay, fucking bombed. So why not bring it to PC?
Only reason would be the controllers, and
yeah, but you could
Right
map
back, guys.
What? Oh, you left. Okay. Well, I didn't see you. I didn't see you when you left. I mean, like WarioWare Shake It. If they brought that back, and they put it on, PC, that could create an entirely new audience, and that game could get a new lease on life, in my humble opinion. But you know, that's just my own humble opinion. You know, like I don't I don't think Nintendo should put their, you know, their mainline titles on PC. Like I don't think people should be able to play Breath of the Wild 2 or Metroid Prime 4 on PC. But for shit that's like didn't do that well on the home console, like Fatal Frame, which they are bringing to PC, or you know, they brought over No More Heroes 1 and 2, which did okay on the Wii, but not like, it's a niche title. It's not for everybody. Bring it to PC, that's just a bigger audience that can enjoy that game.
Yeah, as I said, that would probably be where it would be a case by case. But I think we could agree that that's an iffy topic.
Yeah, but that's my opinion. That, I mean, like people like I used to say you're never gonna see, but we're seeing Nintendo first party games hitting PC, or at least what used to be second party and third party exclusives, like No More Heroes hit PC. Wonderful 101 hit PC. So, you know, Bayonetta 1 and 2
even
hit
if it's
PC.
a remaster, I think.
Yeah, but it's still it hit PC. So clearly, you know, like having more people able to play those Nintendo titles, I'm good, because the more people, like the way at the end of the day, the more people who are playing hardcore games and enjoying them, I'm happy. Like I think casuals are kind of diluting the gameplay experience, because when companies start making their games over casualized, as a hardcore gamer, I don't really like that, because the depth and complexity is being taken out of it or diluted to the point where it's not there. But the more people who are playing, the happier I am, because that means they can become hardcore gamers that get into the shit. But that's my own personal opinion. Let's keep it moving. Next opinion. What would happen if Sega was bought by Nintendo, Sony, or Microsoft after they left the console market? What do you guys think? What do you envision?
That would be a mess. Though, if anything, I would say it would be more likely with Sega, since the two were kind of evenly matched in a sense, and well, if anything, Sonic would actually be more of a mascot than Mario at that point, if it ever happened. Though Sonic would still go up against certain characters like I'm not going to say Crash, but I would say Spyro and Master Chief, basically.
How can I say this? I think that if Nintendo bought Sega, you would definitely have gotten better quality 3D Sonic games. Because let's keep it real, most of the 3D Sonic games have been trash. Even Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, and Sonic Heroes 1 and 2.
You rudely with that one. I mean, seriously, Sonic Adventure 2 and
they all
Heroes
range from being mediocre.
Terrible, but they were the last.
In my opinion, they range from being they range from being mediocre, as in of middle quality, to terrible. None of them are like, oh my god, this is the best 3D Sonic game ever. It's like.
I was gonna say that the Sonic Adventure series was not horrible, at least 2 and Heroes. But
I disagree.
Come on,
they were bad. They were bad. I initially I would have agreed with you, but then I went back and played those games. Not that good. they are mostly running sections where you, like, the opening level that everyone's like, oh man, I'm being chased by an orca. Yeah, this is great. It basically boils down to a series of quick time events and you watching the character do things and you're not doing practically anything. Like Sonic, the 3D Sonic the Hedgehog games.
I was gonna say, reason why I never mentioned Sonic Adventure, because two and Heroes kind of went beyond that, at least more than what Sonic Adventure ever offered.
The gameplay was kind of just not great. It was just kind of mediocre. It wasn't terrible, but it's like, this is like, you have all this processing power, you're in the 3D space, and this is all you're doing. Okay. So yeah, I think you would have gotten better 3D Sonic games. Because Nintendo, you can say whatever you want to about Nintendo. They know how to make 3D platformers very well. Like, even what I would call the least 3D, like Mario Sunshine to me is one of the weaker 3D Mario games. Still better than any of the 3D Sonic games. Like, taking out the shitty camera, it's still better than any of the Sonic games Sega made. 3D Sonic games. They are god-awful compared to the worst 3D Sonic Mario game. So if Nintendo bought Sega, you would definitely have better quality 3D games. If Sony bought Sega, I mean, they probably would have wound up being like most of the studios Sony bought. So put out a few games, people would have been like, all right, and just kept it moving. Microsoft, I mean, that would have been cool, but I mean, Microsoft really didn't know how to run a video game studio for many years, so they probably would have been defunct and went out of business at a certain point. Our next opinion piece, or do you guys have anything else to add before we move on to the next opinion question?
Nope.
All right. Why do new IP so often lose steam? What I mean is, a new IP comes out, it's hot, then the next game comes out, it's not quite as good as the first one, then do a third one, it's like, it starts going down a little bit more. Like, it's very hard for an IP to come out and to last multiple iterations over time.
This is probably something I could at least atone to in a sense, because this in a sense happens with card games. But sometimes it's like there's all there's a breath of fresh air that you feel the flow, and then somewhere along the line you got nothing, or you don't capitalize on that burst, and you start to lose focus or lose steam, and it keeps on dwindling and dwindling until, well,
All right. Kenoshi?
A lot of it is they keep, case of Assassin's Creed and Call of Duty, they keep making them. They're yearly games, come out every year, and they might change things a little bit here and a little bit there, but they become stale and a little too formulaic, and they don't really know how to break up the monotony. And sometimes you have a problem with Ubisoft where a lot of that monotony bleeds into their other IPs.
That is true. Because how many Ubisoft games have you running around in the open world going to a tower to unlock the rest of the map? I'm like, could y'all do something different for once?
Yeah.
Yeah, and get ultra grindy, and you're like, come on, man. I gotta find 50 of these shit in order to unlock this. And the grind becomes the game.
at least RPG grinds are better than what we got in Shadow the Hedgehog.
Well, Shadow the Hedgehog was a cool idea, just really badly implemented. Like the idea of having an alternate Sonic the Hedgehog game that is like the anti-Sonic the Hedgehog, where you've got a character like Sonic the Hedgehog has this...
Have you tried to get all the endings
Yes.
and try to get the true ending, mind you?
Yes, I have done it. Like I said, I like the idea of Shadow the Hedgehog. I just don't like the execution. Like, but here's the thing: at the end of the day, no matter how good an idea is, if the execution sucks, then it doesn't matter how good the idea was. And that's the problem with a lot of games. It's like, oh, this is a good idea. Execution sucks, but the idea was solid. Which leads to the next opinion question. What franchise do you think just need a break? Kenoshi already said Call of Duty and, what was the other one? Shit. Forgot.
Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Creed. Yeah, they need a break, in my opinion. If I don't see, if they just said there's no new Assassin's Creed for the next 3 years, I'd be okay with it. And if Activision finally just said, look, we're gonna give Call of Duty a break for 3 years. No new Call of Duties. 3 years. We're just going to add an expansion for the one that's going on. I'd be cool with that, because that would give developers time to percolate, listen to feedback from gamers, see how the game evolved over time, and then add those lessons to the next game.
Yeah.
I got a pair of game series that I could go for with this topic.
Okay, go ahead.
Street Fighter and Pokemon.
Yeah, but Street Fighter doesn't come out every year. There's actually a good amount of time between Street Fighter coming out and the next iteration of Street Fighter coming out. Same thing with Pokemon.
I was gonna say that if anything, if they have so many, with Capcom, with Street Fighter, I'd say to allow Capcom to try different fighting games and try to at least see if any of them actually could be revived or something like that.
Well, they tried with Darksiders. No one wanted it. No one wanted a new Darksiders. Like, that game came out, and it's actually pretty well made, and no one bought it. I mean, to be fair, it did come out on the Vita and the PlayStation 3 towards the end of the PlayStation 3's life cycle.
Yeah, and you wonder why I consider that a no shot.
Like, it wasn't a smart move on their part.
Yes.
But still, they did it.
Exactly. You're saying that alone is reason enough to kill it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're a business and you spend money to come out with a product, and yeah, it's on Capcom that they put it out at the worst possible time, at the end of a console generation, on a system where people were already like the PS4 had just come out and people were trading in their PS3s for the PS4 and the Vita. I mean, if you put something on the Vita, like I can't take you seriously. But they put it on a dead handheld and a system where people were trading in their old shit to get new shit. I mean, you know, it's Capcom. Capcom does stupid shit like that. But I agree with you. Maybe they need to be more judicious when they drop new iterations and take better care of it. But I mean, Street Fighter is like a cornerstone of gaming. Like you would not have 2D same plane fighting games without Street Fighter. You'd have no King of Fighters.
Oh, it's just that if anything, I thought if anything, they could use a good sized break to develop more or bring up older series like Final Fight.
Yeah, but Final Fight isn't a 2D fighter. It's a side-scrolling brawler. Beat 'em up. But I get what you're saying. Pokemon, yeah, Pokemon definitely needs a break. You know, maybe the next game comes out with everything that should be there, and then they go make something else. Have the Pokemon company go make something else as their next game. Because fuck, I'm tired of Pokemon. I never thought I'd say that. I am tired of Pokemon.
Yeah.
All right, we have one final topic, but I think we'll save that. Well, yeah, I think we'll save that for Saturday. Anything you guys want to pimp out before we wrap things up? Any quick topics you guys want to bring up before we wrap things up?
There's one topic I would want to bring up.
Go ahead.
I was watching one of the old E3 videos, commentary video on Nintendo 2015's E3 event, and you know they were just bitching about how terrible it was. Well, I was thinking about it, and it's like every game they announced, because I watched the E3 was it last year? No, it's 2019. I rewatched it. I was like, it wasn't that bad. And all the games that came out, all the games they announced eventually came out.
That is true.
So, and all the games that were announced at Sony's conference, which everybody declared the winner of E3 2015, those games took years to come out. Final Fantasy VII Remake, that was just a CGI trailer announcement. Not to mention, you know, all the weird news about how they were splitting the games apart. And, what else? And there was, you know, everybody was so excited about Last Guardian. Flop like a soggy pancake.
That is true.
And what Last of Us 2, that didn't come out for another few years.
That
didn't come out until last year.
But let's not forget
less than stellar reviews.
Well, let's not forget PlayStation is the popular kid. And everything Sony does, you know, people consider to be like the best shit ever. You know, it's been that way since the PS1. Because think about it, okay? In the grand scheme of things, Final Fantasy VII is not that good of... Like, if you take all of the Final Fantasy games, Final Fantasy VII isn't even the best Final Fantasy game ever made. And yet, it sold gangbusters because Sony put a lot of money marketing that game. Like, it got the push. Crash Bandicoot is the highest selling game on the original PlayStation. Crash Bandicoot sucks. Okay, that is not a very well made game. Even amongst the other Crash Bandicoot games, it's not the best one.
I was going to say, the most polished of Crash Bandicoot is 3, and I mean, at least that time. And 3, well, considering what the other 2 were, 3 is a glorious mirror compared to Blackstain's art.
Yeah, but Sony sure what to say. But you guys have to remember, Sony is a media company, and Sony really knows how to play the media. They've always known how to play the media. So yeah, Sony at E3, we're great. Sony, like, I've never been impressed with Sony. I'm like, your games are trash. And everything you show is going to be... There's always going to be like a caveat. This is going to be some bullshit. But anyway.
Yeah, I just, you know, going back and seeing some of that stuff, I just don't really understand, why people were so bent out of shape. I mean, a lot of those games that were announced at Sony's and Microsoft conference, either hasn't either came out several years after the fact, or people just didn't end up buying them. So it's like that was the year I just stopped taking. That was the year that was the final nail in the coffin for me taking E3 seriously. It's like you guys are gonna give a standing ovation to the CGI trailer of Final Fantasy
Trailer.
Yeah,
trailer. You guys are
which
gonna
turned out to
cry
be
over this.
only a third of the original game.
Turned out to be only a third of the game, and it's a very divisive game too, as it
Yeah.
pertains to the story. So it's just like, well, so much for that. Like people don't people just need to stop putting
Yeah,
their hopes in
more
E3
people
or
like me
any of these
really
and
would
like any
hate
of the
this game.
CGI
Hate that
trailers.
game.
Like I don't I just it's like man, people are just mad over nothing.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna keep it real. I think the real issue with I think people just like I think the real issue with all of that is just that people can't look at things objectively. Like everything is how you people look at things subjectively based on their feelings versus objectively. Like you know, like okay, I will tell people that Nintendo's online compared to just like the bare minimum of what they had when they weren't charging for it. Like when they weren't charging for their online, it wasn't great, but it got the job done. It was basic. It's like the Wi-Fi at your local library. The Wi-Fi at your local library isn't going to be great, but it's free. So why are you getting mad at it? You know?
And
But
there was more options when it was free too. That's the ironic part.
yeah, but when you start charging people and you're offering less, then I'm going to have an issue. Now, objectively, if you start charging people for a service and there's less options than when it was free, I'm going to say your online sucks. It's not up to the task of what you're charging for. Now, conversely, like objectively, just things aren't equitable. There's an inequality there in the system. Now, you know, now, a fan, someone who is like overly swayed by their emotions, would say, "Oh no, this." It's like, look, no, look. Whether you like it or not, if you look at the two things, they are not equal. Okay, um, if you're comparing the two. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, you have people who, I mean, you can say the same thing about Sony fans. Sony fans love to talk um, about how they're going to get everything and I don't need to own anything but a PS5. And then they're like, well, Starfield is a Xbox and PC exclusive. They're getting mad that they can't get Starfield on the PS5. And I'm like, you do realize that Microsoft bought Bethesda. They own Bethesda. It's a first party studio now. In what fucking universe did you think a video game company is going to let their first party shit be on their competitor's shit? We might have. That's like people back in the fourth gen saying, I want to play Sonic on a SNES, or Sega fanboys saying, I want to play Mario on a Genesis. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. So people don't understand that. They really don't. But it's like like people can't think analytically or critically. A lot of people get caught in the emotional aspect of it. And look, we're human beings. And people say I try to be, unbiased. Thing is, everyone has biases. You just have to recognize them and try to compensate for it. Like, I like Nintendo. I put them on a pedestal. And that really isn't fair because, I mean, they're a company. They fuck up just like everybody else. So, you can't, you can't expect you can't put someone on a pedestal and expect they're never going to fuck up. That's an unfair bias in their favor. So you have to recognize your biases and act accordingly. And I think the issue with Sony with that 2015 thing is that people wanted to support Sony because Microsoft had fucked up so badly with the Xbox One, Nintendo had been fucking up with the Wii U, and people just wanted something that people want to be part of. It's like why do people support a football team that sucks? Because it's their hometown team. I mean, I live in the DC metropolitan area. People around here love the fucking Redskins. The Redskins are a trash ass team. Been trash for years. But people love them. So, But
and I honestly think that as a combination of things with the Wii U, it's like you had a group of people that was too harsh on the Wii U, and then you had a lot of people that just seemed to be giving the Wii U too much of a pass. There's like these two extremes battling out for whatever reason. So.
Well, let me put it this way. I can look at it now in hindsight and say, look, let's keep it real, okay? Nintendo fucked up with the marketing with the Wii U. They didn't properly differentiate it from the previous console. Now, to their credit, considering that the Wii sold over 100 million units, it's really not. It wasn't really a bad business move to connect their new console with their over 100 million selling old console. The problem is that Nintendo didn't understand that the reason the Wii sold so much was because it was selling to casuals. Casuals don't give a fuck about upgrading. I know old people who still have a Wii and still play with the Wii. They never wanted to fucking upgrade. They were perfectly happy with their Wii. Okay?
Yeah, remember, these are people, especially the older people, these are people that they grew up and they bought something, they would take care of it or have them
keep
around
it for years, yeah. They
10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, they weren't thinking about, I'm going to upgrade. They're like, I'm just going to stick with this and play with my grandkids and have fun. Because old people, they're perfectly, like, for them, it was such a casual experience. It's like having a boombox or a record player or a TV. People buy a TV, keep it for years. The hardcore people were like, like the ultra hardcore like myself who got a Wii U at launch. We're like, yeah, great. I love the Wii. I like the Wii U. But I mean, like, that wouldn't have been the issue if Nintendo hadn't made the second fatal mistake with the Wii U, which was they thought that third parties were going to support the Wii U while they got their first party games in place. Now, this was two mistakes, which led to the 3 strikes and they were out. Because first of all, third parties ain't worth a damn when it comes to Nintendo, by and large. And second of all, Nintendo knew they were coming out with a new console. Why the fuck weren't they, before they came out with their new console, working on their new games to come out at the same time? Like, that's a failure on the planning level. So, it was a trifecta of fucking up. Now, you factor that in with the bad media, the bad information, the misinformation. People like not really using the Wii U as a joke. Kind of like how people did the same thing with the Xbox Series X. I mean, with the Xbox One, where they were just shitting on the Xbox One continuously all the time. Same thing.
Yeah.
So, except I will say this much. Nintendo never shot themselves in the ass like Don Matrick did with the Xbox One. I mean, I was like, that motherfucker ain't gonna have a job next month. And I'll be damned. The next month, he did not have a job. He was gone. I'm like, yeah, your ass got to go. They served Don Matrick's ass up on a silver platter with an apple sticking out of his mouth. So my point is this. Looking at it in hindsight and being, as unbiased as I can, Nintendo fucked up. Third parties kicked them down a flight of steps. But ultimately, there was shit Nintendo could have done to not fall into that trap. Had their first party games ready to go at launch, said fuck third parties, waiting in the wings. If they don't support us, fuck them. We'll launch our shit out there. Nintendo, that was on Nintendo. Them not appropriately differentiating the Wii U from the Wii. That could have gone either way, so that's not totally on their fault. Because, like I said, attaching your 100 plus million console to attaching that star to your new console, that's not a bad business move. That's actually pretty smart. It just backfired on them because I don't think the name of the Wii U would have been an issue had they had their first party games going out for all ready to go for the year one. And then finally, the lack of planning in not having their first party games ready to go from the Wii to the Wii U, y'all should have had, how the Switch, they had bomb after bomb after bomb ready to drop year one of the Switch. You had none of that with the Wii U. You had Super Mario Brothers Wii U and the pack-in game, and that was it. Because Mario Rayman was supposed to come out in February, and the launch games that came out, old shit that you could have played on your PS3 and your Xbox 360. The new shit, you only had 4 new games that came out for the Wii U at launch.
Oh yeah, the dry spells with the Wii U were just awful.
Well, I mean, no, after the first year, it was good. But those first 12 months, especially that summer, where there was just nothing, you didn't get shit until Splatoon. And Splatoon really started to bring it back. By then, it was Nintendo couldn't keep up launching shit like that. Because they were also supporting the 3DS as well. And I think that's why they ultimately combined the two things, so that they could keep up putting out games. And now, there's no excuse for there to be a dry spell for the Switch, because their two divisions are combined. There's no reason for there not to have been games coming out since last year for the Switch, like first party shit. Except for cheap shit that's easy to make, like the Game Maker. That's literally a pared down dev kit, SD software development kit. That's all it is. And shit that you can like mini game collections. Come on. And I know they were Metroid Dread. Yeah, we took the shit we learned from Metroid Samus Returns remake. No, you literally took that engine. This is a 3DS game you guys prettied up for the Switch. Okay? Don't fucking lie to me and say that this is a brand new shit.
Come on, Red. You're buying it still, and you're just.
I am buying it. I am buying it, but I'm not gonna act like They from the ground up.
Stop your crying already, Red.
Come on, I'm not gonna lie about the shit.
This is now where I'm saying that you're just crying now.
No, I'm not crying about it. I'm just simply saying that's
yes, you are.
That's the way it is. But anyway.
You are.
But but I mean, you have to look at these things as objectively as possible. So
Come off it.
I mean, there's just no excuse for that shit. It could have been a lot better. But ultimately, I mean, these things will get better over time, and things will get better over time, and all that type of fun stuff, and hopefully, by the end of it, it'll all be good. Knock on wood. Hopefully, but but like I said, people get very emotionally involved in the shit. And that's not good. But that's my own personal opinion. You have to try and be, you have to try and look at things from as objective as you can. I try to be stoic with my philosophy and not get emotionally involved in things, because when you do, you lose your head, and you start making some bad decisions when you get emotionally involved in shit. And that's not good. It's kind of like when people say, "Well, why'd you do that?" I was angry, because you hear this a lot. Like some woman, like you see on TV, some woman gets angry at her boyfriend, and she goes and she fucking keys the car that she thinks is her boyfriend's. Turns out it was someone else's car, and then she goes to jail. She's like, "Why'd you do that?" I was angry. Why the fuck would you get so angry that you have to destroy someone's property? And what are you, like 5? You're emotionally immature. So you try not to get emotionally involved in shit. It's difficult because this isn't something that you just wake up one day and say, "I'm not going to let myself get emotionally rattled and emotionally controlled by other people's behavior." But it's something you have to practice for years and years and years. It's very difficult. But if you can pull it off, you'll become a much calmer person. And you won't let things that you don't have control over screw you over and upset you. You'll be healthier mentally and emotionally. But anyway, that's the end. We've kind of went over, but fuck it. It was worth talking about. Anything else you guys want to... any other topics you guys want to mention before we wrap things up?
No, my other topic I'll save for Saturday.
All right. So with that being said, that's the end of the podcast. Rate, comment, share, subscribe, and...
Hype responsibly, ladies and gentlemen.